Hey, it's Walt with mycameragrip.com, and today we're talking about calipers. When you want to measure your camera for a custom grip, you need to use calipers that measure in millimeters. You can either use digital calipers like we have here, or you can use, I think, what are called vernier calipers here. So the main advantage, I think, of these is that they don't have a battery, so they're going to work just fine, 5 years from now, where the others we might have to put a new battery in. And then these, how you read them is you look at the scale up here. You've got 1, 2, 3 centimeters, and then the ticks in between are millimeters. And so if you take this bottom scale and look at the 0 and where it reads on your centimeter scale, oops, okay, and you can see it's like 25 point something. And so probably, depending on what I was measuring, I would either put in 25 or 26, just to give myself some breathing room. But that's the vernier calipers. The digital calipers, when you first go to use them, turn them on, make sure that first off the jaws are closed and they're reading 0. If not, then you want to hit 0 to zero them out. You also want to make sure they're reading millimeters. And this button up here switches from millimeters to decimal inches to fractions of an inch. And you can see the fractions of an inch shows in fractions. But again, we want to use millimeters. And if this doesn't read quite 0, if they're been sitting a while and they're reading like 0.2 or 0.02 or 0.03, whatever, don't worry about it. We want to allow some breathing room between the grip and the camera. Okay, so now we've got our calipers closed and zeroed, and we can do some measuring on the camera. So first we'll use the external jaws, these down here, and we'll measure the width of the camera. So we put the jaws on one side, put the other jaws on the other side, and we're getting like 114 something. You notice I've got the jaws kind of snug up against the camera. They're not at an angle or tilted. And both jaws, both the left side and the right side, are kind of pretty snugged up against the camera. And this time, so it might read 0.02, and the next time I measure it might read like 0.15 or something. Again, we don't need to be that precise. And so that's external measurements, sorry. On the also we have the other jaws here for reading internal measurements. So if we want to know the diameter of this tripod screw hole for some reason, we just put the jaws down in there, use the thumb wheel to kind of snug them up, and then pull it out, and you see we got 5 point something. And then the third way is on the back side of the jaws. So we have this edge here and this edge here. When the jaws are closed, you see those are flush. And so, for example, over here, the camera grip doesn't go all the way to the bottom. Oops, here we go. The camera grip doesn't go all the way to the bottom of the camera plate, so we could measure that distance. And again, get it on there, get it flat like that, and then look at the measurements, and it's 3 millimeters. And then the fourth way is using the kind of stick on the end of the stick on the end of the calipers. And so like here, we want to know like where the battery door starts, and we want to know that when it's open and even kind of beyond open, not just straight up, but open a little bit extra. Make sure we've got plenty of clearance for the battery to go in and out. So what I'll do is put this end of the caliper on the end of the camera, and then extend the stick out until it's hitting the door, and maybe, even pushing it open or close a little bit, because there's not a lot of room there between the tripod hole and the battery opening. And so here I've got like 66.5 millimeters. So I might put 66 in for my reading. But that's it. That's the ways that you measure with calipers. Thanks.